Welcome to weekly Forex forecast from Forex Trading Wizard Academy. This is Forex Wizard trading coach. I will be doing a complete multi-time frame analysis of most of the hottest currency pairs that we will be looking to trade next week. Now, as you can see, the list is a bit longer, but as usual, I'll suggest you to watch all of them. As you have seen in our previous weekly Forex forecast, most of the pairs did exactly according to the analysis. Now, this is the last week of the month, and we'll look at in-depth analysis of DXY, JPY index as well as Euro index, and in relation to these three index, all the instrument coming along the way with these pairs, as this week is very volatile, last week of the month. Now, also you can see that this week there are some very important news coming up. Monday, Euro news coming, and then GBP and USD. These are three very important news coming up first day of trading week, as also last week of the month. And following on Wednesday, we saw that dollar and AUD pairs news coming up, CPI, and next day FOMC. So there is a lot of volatility coming, and this week is incredibly important. As the last week of the month, we might see a lot of dramatic movement in the market. So before I begin this weekly Forex forecast, make sure you give a big thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. So with that being said, let's begin. First of all, we'll look at these three important index, and then we'll look at how we can trade all of them, including gold and other instrument. I'll be starting with DXY. As you can see, last week DXY had a significant movement to the upside after strong movement downside previous week. We saw that this week, after breaking this high, DXY had a bounce. Now this is the monthly candle, and as this monthly close coming at the end of this week, what I think that because the price had a strong bounce from this liquidity zone, and this is almost a no man's land, this price lastly visited in 1st of April 2022. So this is in fact a very lonely standalone price that has visited long ago. And because there is a bounce this week, what I think that we might see a little more upside, and we could even see that this monthly closing above this support level. Now this is the monthly support, which is significantly important. If you closely look at in the past, we see that from this level there has been significant movement, and we saw from the same level the price respected multiple times. The price is just below this level. I think that this week we could see potentially further upside, and we might see that the monthly close above this support level, so that could lead DXY to be still to the upside. Now if we look at the weekly time frame, this is the weekly candle last week has closed. Now there is a significant in this candle. First of all, if we look at the support zone of this candle, we can see that in that level the price has created a higher low on the weekly. Now the significant is that the sellers couldn't break this previous weekly low because it has created a higher low. And if we look at this weekly candle's health, we can see that it's a full body green, so there is a volume in this candle. And as you can see, there is a gap in that zone from this previous support level here. With this movement, still there is a gap and imbalance in the market, and I think that this week we might see little pullback or gap opening, and it's still continuation to the upside, and at least we can see a retest of this previous support as a resistance. And what I think that it might even close as a weekly pin bar or as a weekly doji. So that means initially this week we could see an upside. Now that upside even could break all this high, and I think that at some point during the week, as FOMC coming, the market might be very volatile, and with that volatility we might see the price even breaking this high, and then we could see that the price breaking this high. After breaking the high, we might see rejection, and that could lead DXY to form a doji or a long wick candle. And if we look at in relation to the monthly price action, this is the monthly level that we are expecting. Let's draw the monthly support as well to see where we are expecting DXY to close on the monthly. Now if we compare that with the weekly perspective, this is the weekly price action, which is the monthly support, and I think that initially we could see DXY is breaking that high, and then at the end of the week we might see the DXY coming down to close somewhere here. That might give a DXY forming a weekly doji or weekly pin bar above this level, and then in the new trading month, in the first week, either we could see continuation to the upside and then or breaking down, which is highly likely that DXY may continue for longer term to the downside. So this week we still can expect in the beginning upside, and once the price will go up well above, create overextended, then we can expect that rejection. Now with that respect, if we reflect now DXY to all the USD pairs, let's quickly look at all the USD pairs that DXY is going to reflect, starting with euro dollar. Now if we look at euro dollar, also we can see that from the euro dollar perspective, the price just mirror of DXY. This is the weekly price action. Let's look at the monthly. Now what we saw on the DXY is just mirror on euro dollar. This is the monthly candle above this level. As we are expecting DXY to go up further, we can expect euro dollar to come down further. Now with that respect, what I think that the euro dollar might be coming back to this previous resistance on the monthly, which is turning support. Now looking at the weekly time frame, we can see that this is the weekly candle on euro dollar that has closed, and this weekly candle had a little bit of significance in it. Let's look at the top of this weekly candle. We can see that it has crossed this weekly high, created an overextended market. Now if we draw this level on euro dollar, what we see that there is a huge liquidity above this candle. If we look at this past, we can see there is a gap opening on euro dollar in that zone, and after back-to-back 2 weekly candles liquidity gap, you saw this movement happen, and above this gap, above this weekly candle, there is a huge liquidity. So this is a strong zone, and from that zone we saw that euro dollar has broken all this level, and exactly from the end of this gap opening on the weekly on euro dollar had a breakdown exactly to the point. And because the price has dropped from such an important level, that could liquidate further on euro dollar, and I think that as we see that, or as of with the DXY as well, we could see euro dollar this week also coming down, and later with the FOMC or with other news, important news coming on euro dollar as well, we could see that rejection from the support going back up, and we might see a weekly doji as well here, and that pin bar or doji on the weekly can give new months another boost to the upside. So this week initially we can expect euro dollar to come down, and then in the middle of the week, or if you go back to the FOMC, we can see that during this time on Thursday, that means that last 2 days of trading, we might see upside. So first 3 days we might see downside on euro dollar, and the last 2 days with FOMC and with all those news coming up later, we might see that upside on euro dollar. So let's look at on GBP USD. Now as you can see that there is not much difference on euro dollar and GBP USD, as both of them almost in the same direction, except we see that euro dollar weekly candle is a bit upside than GBP USD. The reason is you can see you have seen that this week GBP was very weaker, and as we are expecting on euro dollar the price to come back and break this weekly low, what I think that GBPUSD might do it a bit earlier, and we could see still remain weakness on GBPUSD. Now if we look at in the middle on Euro GBP to see which one is mostly weaker, then we can understand it from Euro GBP. Now looking at Euro GBP, and then we'll go back to GBPUSD again to see. Now you can see this is the monthly candle on Euro GBP. Now with this monthly candle, what do we see? That this is the strong bullish momentum so far, and last week of trading week. Let's look at the weekly on Euro GBP. We have seen potentially bullish candle so far, but at the same time looking at the daily on Euro GBP, we can see that there has been significant bullish move on Euro GBP. So this is currently showing potentially bullish price action on Euro GBP. I think that on the market opening we might see a little consolidation and still upside on Euro GBP. So if we see that upside on Euro GBP, that means that we can expect still strength in Euro than GBP USD. So if we go back to Euro dollar and GBP USD, we can see that reflection as well. As you can see, Euro is a bit stronger still than GBP USD. Now GBP USD on the daily time frame, price currently below the 20 EMA, and Euro dollar we see that the price is still above the daily 20 EMA. What I think that as we see that both instruments we are expecting to drop, so there could be at the end of the week we might see a bit more downside on Euro dollar than GBP USD, as there is still a bit more gap on Euro dollar to fill and to come back down. So let's go back again to GBP USD to see how this might happen. Now GBP USD, this is the weekly candle, and this candle is a complete inside bar. What I think that on GBP USD from this weekly perspective, we might see initially a little bit upside and then still down, and with the downside, what I think that GBP USD might come back breaking this weekly low in the first place, and breaking the weekly low we might see that GBP USD coming down further even to this 20 EMA. Now if we look at the daily, the price currently trading below daily 20 EMA. I think that on the first day we might see a little more pullback, and from that zone we could see that GBP USD still downside, as we are expecting in the beginning strengthening on DXY. So GBP USD we could see that in the beginning of trading week still remaining bearish, and it might either coming to this neckline of this inverted head and shoulder and then slowly picking to the upside to form that pin bar that we are expecting on the weekly time frame. So looking at AUD USD, exactly the price is reflecting in the same way. Now looking at the monthly on AUD USD, we see that there is a strong rejection from the monthly resistance, and on AUD USD we see that the price is almost approaching the monthly opening and closing. Now again, if we look at the DXY, what we are expecting on DXY, initially to drop, initially to rise on DXY, and then to drop to form that pin bar on the weekly time frame. So if we reflect it on AUD USD in the mirror way, we can see that on AUD USD the price is approaching the monthly support zone. So we could see on AUD USD initial drop, and with that initial drop we might see the price is testing the monthly support and then bouncing off, closing above. So looking at the weekly, we can see that from the weekly perspective there is a bearish candle on AUD USD. Now with that bearish candle we can see that AUD USD form a long bearish candle. I think that on the market opening after a little pullback we can expect further drop. Now with the drop, highly likely we could see that AUD USD is coming, and even we could see break of this weekly low. This is the weekly support level, and then we can expect a rejection from the support. I think that AUD USD coming down and then going up, forming a doji exactly like the euro dollar and GBP USD and then we can expect in the next month continuation to the upside. Now if we look at daily, we can see that AUD USD is approaching this level. Now where we see that on AUD USD there is you can see this is a reversal pattern here, has broken out completely. Now the price is approaching this neckline of this reversal pattern, and highly likely we could see on the market opening initial pullback to the upside. There is a daily liquidity zone, and then we can expect it to drop. And what I think that in the last 2 days of trading we might see that AUD USD again picking up from this zone to the upside and closing along this zone on the monthly, almost as a half body half week monthly candle. So we see that all the USD pairs, if we look at the NZD USD, almost the price action is exactly in the same way. Now if we look at the weekly on NZD USD, we can see a bearish candle, a full body green candle. On the monthly as well, we can see there is a long wick candle, and highly likely that we could see this week initial drop. And this is the monthly candle, which is almost a weekless candle on the monthly on NZD USD. What I think that the price might break this low and create a wick here, and then we can expect again rejection to the upside. And this is the monthly support level. If we look at the weekly price action, we can see that wickless candle. And what I think on the market opening after this kind of bearish candle, we could see potentially further downside. And I think after breaking this monthly low, maintaining a higher low with this weekly doji, we could see that NZD USD now picking up, forming this another bullish structure. So in the beginning of trading week, we can expect NZD USD to remain bearish. Now if you look at the daily, we can see that potentially a very strong bearish momentum. And if we draw this resistance line on NZD USD, we can see that the price has broken completely to the downside. And what we can expect on NZD USD to go up, test this level again, form kind of long wick candle or a rejection from the top. So basically we could see a retest of this resistance here as a resistance, and I think that then NZD USD we could see that potentially coming down to this monthly support, and then we might see maintaining this trend line, testing this level, a continuation to the upside again. So there is a very high probability for NZD USD to drop, and lower time frame reflection we could see NZD USD testing this level, coming back down, and then continuing to the upside. That could be the wave on NZD USD. Now if we look at all the USD pair, dollar CAD, we see that strengthening on DXY, also in reflecting in dollar CAD. Now this is the monthly candle on dollar CAD, and we can see that it is forming a monthly doji. And last week of the month, I think the dollar CAD initially we could see that the price is going up and coming back down again. We could see a doji closing as a doji on the monthly on dollar CAD. And if we see this kind of doji closing as a doji on dollar CAD, or at least a green doji or a narrow candle, very highly likely that next month we could see dollar CAD is pushing high. Now if we look at the weekly, we can see that from the weekly perspective, dollar CAD this is the weekly candle, which is in fact a narrow doji, higher low in that zone. So we could see this week after a little pullback, movement to the upside, and I think the dollar CAD is going up to form another doji or a bullish candle this week. Now looking at the daily, we can see there is an inverted head and shoulder has formed on the daily time frame. After forming double doji, dollar CAD has broken to the upside, and for me it's a potentially bullish price action. And what we could see with this strengthening on DXY, we could see dollar CAD is going up, and I think that slowly we might see it's breaking this resistance line, or at least touching that level. So this week initially we could see dollar CAD is going up, remaining bullish. After breaking the high, after grabbing liquidity, we might see coming back down and even it might range in that zone for a bit more longer time. So in the beginning, in all the instrument on USD, we see potential upside on dollar with that of DXY. Now USD CHF, we can see that same kind of pattern. From the weekly, we see USD CHF form a narrow bullish candle. Now this candle, if we look at overall picture in the market, overall the USD CHF is highly bearish, but at the same time we can see that it formed a narrower candle. And this price, if you look at the past, we can see lastly visited in 2015. That's a very, very low price, and we could see that seller might hesitate to sell this market. And from the daily, we could see that dollar Swiss franc forming potentially bullish price action as of on DXY. So in the beginning, exactly in the same way, we might see that DXY testing this neckline of this reversal. We might see another narrower candle, and then potentially we could see that USD CHF is pushing high along with the DXY going up, and then highly likely we could see again coming back down for a deeper pullback. So this is what we see on all the USD pairs except dollar yen. So let's look at now JPY index, and then we'll be looking at all the JPY pairs. So JPY index will give us in fact what's gonna happen this month, this week, and what's happening with the higher time frame and lower time frame. Now if we look at JPY index on the monthly, first of all, this is undoubtedly a very, very strongly bearish price action, no doubt about it. JPY is very weaker, and as you can see, this is the monthly candle. So far bulls went to this significant monthly resistance line. Now if we analyze this monthly structure on JPY, we see that this is a complete reversal, a textbook reversal pattern here. And with the textbook reversal, in fact, the price gathered liquidity from the top, and we saw a complete breakdown. Now this month so far, we saw that this is a long week candle. Now what does this mean? In the first 3 weeks is that the bulls went up, tested this level, which is the support here, neckline of this reversal pattern. This is a very strong liquidity zone, and look, this is a monthly strong liquidity candle, and once the price has broken down, is forming this long week candle. So whenever the price reached that important zone, the sellers put a lot of sell order, and because of that we saw this long week candle is formed on the monthly. And what I think that this month, the last week of this month, we could see further drop, and with the drop, highly likely we could see either a very strong drop or at least weak drop, breaking this monthly low and then creating a new lower low. Now there is a very important clue to look at. If we look at this previous monthly low and this current monthly low, the price is still maintain a lower low. That's the sign that the bulls still not stronger in this market, and we could see break. Now if we look at this low on the monthly, what we saw that with this monthly bearish candle immediately has gone up, and it couldn't create a new lower low, and as a result we saw this massive movement. And we saw the same situation here. You can see exactly from the support it had a bounce, but this candle still maintaining a lower low. And what I think that highly likely we could see break of this level and then forming either a middleman or a bearish doji here in that zone. So there is a probability for JPY this week to be remain bearish, as we are expecting JPY to be bearish and as we are expecting DXY to be bullish. So if we look at dollar yen, we'll be looking at, let's look at a bit more lower time frame to see further confirmation on JPY index. Now if we look at the weekly, we can see that from the weekly perspective that this weekly candle on JPY is significantly bearish. First of all, we saw it has formed lower low, lower high here in that zone from this resistance level. And if we readjust this level on the weekly, we can see that this support down resistance exactly form a lower high, and also you see that lower low, you can see, and it's a bearish engulfer. That's a very strongly bearish price action. And what I think that after a little pullback, JPY index could continue to drop, and highly likely you could see that a lower low or at least break of this low to be created. So JPY on the weekly, we see that potentially bearish. Now this is the daily price action, and if we look at this daily candlestick pattern here, we saw that there is a long wick candle, long wick doji, back to back two long wick dojis, and in that zone also there is a long wick candle. Now last day of trading week on JPY, we saw a bearish engulfer. Now if we analyze this last day's candle, we can see that it has crossed this narrow dojis high, so that has a liquidity and exactly tested this doji, which is also a long wick doji, and then we have seen this massive drop. Now JPY, we could see a bit more pullback in the beginning of trading week, and from that zone we can expect continuation towards the downside. Now lower time frame price action, we see that the market is forming potentially bearish price action. There is a strong drop and consolidation. We could see initial pullback, liquidity grab, and then continuation to the downside. So JPY, we can expect in the beginning of trading week a pullback and then continuation to the drop. So that means that JPY pairs, majority of the pairs could remain bullish against JPY. Now if we look at some of the JPY pairs that are very important, looking at dollar yen, that we are expecting to be strongly bullish. Now as we identified DXY to be bullish, and that's why we can expect dollar yen to be bullish, as we see that JPY looks weaker. So that instrument could be very volatile this week, as we might see a very stronger trend. And we see from technical perspective in this zone on dollar yen, we see quite a few sessions of consolidation, series of higher low creation, and a strong bullish movement. If we look at the monthly price action on dollar yen, we can see that this is a long-term bullish market from bigger picture perspective, and we saw that with this long-term bull market, this is the monthly candle so far. After breaking this monthly low, dollar yen has formed this bullish candle so far. I think that this week, as we are expecting JPY to be downside, DXY to be upside, and we could see that this dollar yen might break this monthly resistance zone, and we could see creation of new higher high. Now if we look at the weekly on dollar yen, we can see a very significant liquidity grab. This is a swing low here on the weekly, which is a very regular uptrending market structure. A break of structure has happened on the all time frame on the monthly and weekly, and once we saw this break of structure this week, this bullish candle is for me a potentially a bigger movement to the upside. And what we could see that dollar yen, we might see that the price again coming back to this resistance line, so there could be potentially very high volatility in this instrument. Now looking at the daily, as we saw the DXY JPY pair and DXY both synchronizing together for this movement, and this is the daily move on JPY. We could see initial pullback that could lead the price again coming back to this zone where there is a daily 20 EMA, and then we can expect the price to go up and give us potential bullish momentum. Now lower time frame price action, you can see on dollar yen is maintaining a very regular uptrending market structure. Now what we can expect, any kind of pullback, break of this local support level, at that break could give us an entry opportunity on dollar yen. Any break of this level can give us potential entry in the beginning of trading week on dollar yen. So it will remain, we can expect it to be bullish, and it will be remaining bullish on dollar yen. Now that weakness on JPY, and we could see reflecting in almost all the instrument. GBP JPY, if we look at almost exactly same kind of price action, there is a strong bullish candle on the daily, and I think that on the market opening we could see a bit more pullback and continuation to the upside. Now GBP JPY, this is the daily chart, and we saw that there is a double bottom formation, a very strong breakout. And if we look at bigger picture, monthly and weekly time frame on GBP JPY, this is also maintaining a very strong uptrending market structure. So lower time frame price action on JPY is potentially forming a bullish. Now you can see this is a massive movement happened last day of trading week, an immediate rejection, again another bullish move. So what we could see in the beginning, a little more consolidation in that area. I think that as we are expecting JPY index to go up for a pullback in the beginning of trading week, that could lead GBP JPY to come down, and I think that the price might retest this level where there is a 20 EMA, and any kind of drop to this level will give us a good entry for GBP JPY, and it could form this inverted head and shoulder for this move, then can give us a very good entry point. Now if you look at this here, this is a order block here, and from this order block we saw this movement happen. I will be waiting for a bit more deeper drop here that could lead us a very good entry opportunity on GBP JPY. If we look at CHF JPY, almost exactly in the same manner, but CHF is very strongly bullish than GBP JPY, as CHF is a very stronger currency and JPY we saw that is a weaker. Now this movement on the monthly on CHF JPY is after quite a few months of a strong bullish move. This month also, last week of the month, I think that CHF JPY might remain bullish and it could continue to rise. Now if we look at, zoom out of this chart, it's a very strongly bullish market. If we look at the weekly, we can see past week there is a bullish engulfer, this bullish candle, and this week we saw after a little pullback, the market in fact made this massive move to the upside. Daily as well, we can see that the price, this is the last day of trading week, and we saw the market has this daily candle. It's a textbook bullish engulfer that is in fact grab liquidity from here and then has formed this significant movement. And we saw that CHF JPY on the daily with this back-to-back two dodges, it's a very strong movement, and again after this pullback it formed another bullish move. What I think that on the market opening we might see initial pullback, as we are expecting JPY index to rise up initially, that could lead CHF JPY to drop and then continuation to the upside. And lower time frame price action will be this is where I will be waiting for, like the GBP JPY, exactly in the same way we will be waiting for initial drop to this liquidity zone and then to give us potential entry opportunity on CHF JPY. Now you can see same price action with Euro JPY, and if we look at NZD JPY, almost similar kind of price action. Now the only difference between Euro JPY is that Euro looks a bit stronger than NZD JPY. Now only that NZD JPY looks a bit weaker, but what I think that as JPY will keep getting weaker, we might see ultimately NZD JPY also moving almost in the same direction. But I will keep eye on mostly on Euro JPY and GBP JPY. As you can see, this is the Euro JPY daily candle, and which is in fact a very good bullish engulfer in the direction of the major trend. And you can see it tested the 20 EMA not far from it, and also it grabbed liquidity from this daily support level. Quite a few days of opening and closing with these dodges, and you see back to back two dojis. So this zone is a liquidity zone, and when you see this kind of candle from such an important liquidity zone, we can expect to continue to rise. Now as we are expecting JPY index to pull back to the upside initially, that could lead Euro JPY to pull back to the downside and then continuation to the upside. Now the way I see this daily candle, I think that Euro JPY even may not come down for a much deeper pullback, as Euro looks very stronger, and that candle could be a continuation candle. Now in this lower time frame price action on Euro JPY, we see that the market in these all sessions, there has been significant volume in the market. I think that Euro JPY might give us a very good entry as soon as we will see any kind of liquidity grab along this zone will give us an entry. So all the JPY pairs, that what we see that is significantly bullish against JPY. So let's quickly look at Euro index, and we'll be looking at Euro pairs couple up, and then we'll look at gold. Guys, make sure that you stick till the end. So looking at Euro index to see, now Euro, as you can see from the daily, it's a bearish price action currently. If we look at overall picture from the monthly, now this is the Euro index, which is almost the manifestation of euro dollar, exactly the same instrument that we see euro dollar, that euro index. Now if we look at that instrument, we see that euro index is showing this week bearish, as we are expecting DXY to be bullish. So we could see ultimately euro getting weaker this week along with GBP. Now last day of trading week, this is the daily candle, and you can see this movement on euro is a complete upside vertical movement followed by two daily dojis with a strong liquidity gathering, and then we saw this breakdown. Now last day of trading week, euro tried to recover, but it formed a very narrow doji, and the price action in this movement is still remaining bearish. I think that on the market opening, we could see initial movement, a trial from the bulls, and the remaining bearish coming down to this daily 20 EMA, and there is a very high probability for euro to continue to drop in that direction. Now if we reflect it to euro AUD, now as you can see, if we compare euro and AUD from bigger picture perspective, euro looks stronger than AUD. So AUD might remain still weaker than euro. Now if we look at monthly on euro AUD, it's a very strongly bullish price action. If we look at the weekly, we can see that quite a few weeks of strong liquidity grab given euro AUD a very strong bullish price action. If we look at lower time frame, daily and further lower time frame, we see that euro AUD is forming series of higher low, and also this is a very strong liquidity grab on euro AUD from this significant level of support, and then had a bounce, and this is the resistance on euro AUD, long-term resistance. If we draw this level here, we can see that euro AUD, this is the resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, approaching that resistance, creating series of higher low with a multiple liquidity grab, giving a very high probability for euro AUD to break to the upside and then continue towards its long-term uptrend. So we could see euro AUD is getting bullish, and for me to go long on euro AUD, you can see this is a local bullish pattern where multiple times the price gather liquidity, so it has a momentum. I will be waiting for initial pullback, especially to this 20 EMA will give us a very good opportunity for euro AUD to go long towards its long-term uptrending direction this week. So let's quickly look at in detail on gold. Now as you have seen last week, gold was extremely volatile and we had an incredible trading opportunity. So if we look at gold, if we just remind ourselves for the DXY, we can see that DXY this week we are expecting to be bullish initially and then to come down for a deeper drop again. So that could lead gold to be completely the other way around. So if we look at the weekly and monthly price action on gold, we can see that from the monthly, gold has reached a very important monthly resistance zone, and from that monthly resistance, gold has created this long week candle so far. Now this is the last week of the month. What I think that because gold has reached that monthly resistance, liquidity zone had a rejection, we could see ultimately gold even coming back to this monthly support level. Before close, we might see some retracement to the upside again. If we look at the weekly, we can see that pattern a bit more clearly. This is the weekly pin bar on gold. Now some might predict this one as a bullish candle, but I think that gold might remain bearish. Now the reason is, if you look at the weekly candlestick pattern, we can see that gold in fact has broken a very significant resistance line on the weekly time frame. You can see this is the weekly high, quite a few weekly high is broken and the price has gone up, crossing all these weekly candles high. So because of this breakout, there is a liquidity in that movement, and because gold failed to create any more further up and failed to close above this resistance zone, we could see that gold coming down again after breaking this high, and then we could see gold is dropping down to this previous liquidity zone. This is a smart money area. This is the previous resistance, which is turning support here on gold. And I think that as we are expecting DXY initially to go up and then come back down, close as a pin bar, we could see on gold initial drop, breaking the weekly low, testing this resistance as a support, and then going up, closing as a liquidity candle. So that could lead gold from the weekly. As we see that on the monthly, we are expecting it to close, test this monthly support and go up. So you could see on gold from the weekly to form a candle testing this level, opening here and then going up to close as a bullish candle, starting with this support level. So that could lead gold to remain bullish for future. And I think that that could be a very high probability that gold is going to do, as this is a previous resistance and support. Below this weekly candle, there is a liquidity zone. So if we reflect it on the lower time frame, looking at daily, now from the daily, now if we look at the daily price action on gold, we see that from the daily there has been a three wave. There is one has come back down, there is wave 2 has come back down, there is now wave 3 and it's coming down. If we look at Elliott wave, we see that there is the wave 1, 2 and 3. As the price already completed the third wave, we can expect now gold to come back down to break this swing low to gather liquidity, and then we can expect it to move to the upside. So we can add that confluence. And with that said, if we look at the daily support level here, this is a very important swing low along with the daily 20 EMA. Below this daily weekly candles, there's a high liquidity. I think that gold might remain bearish, and from this zone we can expect, after breaking this low, continuation to the upside, and that is we are expecting to break this low and then going up to close as a weekly bullish candle. So looking at for the lower time frame, we can see that local bearish pattern here on gold. Now with this movement, we have seen that gold has broken, creating series of lower high and lower low. Now what I think that on the market opening we might see initial pullback to the upside, especially below this green candle. There is a high liquidity. As you can see, this whole move, there is only one green candle, which is in fact a liquidity zone, along with this 4-hour 20 EMA, and also this support here turning resistance. And I think that on the market opening we could see that gold is going up to test this level and then dropping back to this zone, breaking this low, and then continuation to the upside. So these are the zone that we will be waiting for potential trading opportunity throughout the week. Beginning we will remain bearish. Even on the first day we'll see how we can find an entry, and then once we see the price has broken this low, especially we'll look for liquidity zone for potential upside on gold. Now if you want to trade gold and euro dollar and GBPUSD, all the instrument that we are trading, also you can join us. We do share all our trades to the VIPs, and as well as all the instrument that we are trading. And also you can learn the strategy that we are trading in Forex Trading Wizard Academy. You can find the first link below this video. Visit the website and you can join us to learn our strategies and also to be part of this trading community to become an independent professional trader. So we have already covered DXY, JPY, EXY, gold. Now let's look at some other instrument. Looking at the WTI US oil, how this week we could see this instrument is doing. Looking at monthly perspective, now we saw that WTI this month was significantly bullish. As this is the last week of the month, we can expect WTI this week to remain bullish as well. As you can see, this is a very strongly bullish market, and you could see that WTI is remaining bullish. As we see that so far, you can see the candle is significantly stronger, and we could see continuation to the upside. Now from the weekly, previous week there is a middleman. This is what exactly expected in the weekly forex forecast as well, as you have seen that. And now this week also we saw the bullish move. I think that the WTI, we could see that after a little pullback remaining bullish this week as well, and we could see that closing as a very strong bullish candle. Now daily perspective on WTI is also showing potentially bullish price action. You can see with this liquidity grab, the price has created this move correction. So the price is creating series of higher high and higher low. Now this is you can see the price is approaching this resistance on the daily. I think that in the beginning of trading we might see deeper pullback, and then we can see that continuation to the upside. As the price on the resistance, I will be waiting for lower time frame pullback, especially drop back to this support level, or even breaking this high, breaking this low can give us potential entry opportunity on WTI. So we will be remaining bullish based on current time price action on the market opening on WTI. So let's look at now indices US30 and NASDAQ. Looking at US30, looking at the monthly time frame. Now as you have seen so far, US30 is strongly bullish. What we saw previous months, a bullish engulfer. Now this month, this is the last week of the month, US30 so far showing a very strong momentum to the upside. And what I think that this week initially we might see further downside, and then ultimately moving to the upside on the monthly close. If we look at the weekly, after previous weekly, a bullish engulfer. Now this bullish engulfer, if you look at the support level here, you can see that the price cross all this low and then form this bullish engulfer that has engulfed the previous all the weekly candles to the upside and downside. As a result, this week so far we have seen a very strong bullish candle on US30. Now this candle is a middleman. It's a breakout from the structure, and for me it's a continuation pattern. I think that US30, highly likely you could see a retest of the resistance, and this week also we might see remaining bullish, forming another bullish candle. Looking at the daily on US30, so far the whole week we saw that movement on US30, and we can expect this week initially a pullback. Any kind of pullback will give us an entry opportunity on US30. As you can see, this is a very strong movement. Without proper pullback, I will not be entering any buy trade. So this is where I will be waiting for on the lower time frame on US30 to come down, especially this lower time frame 4-hour 20 EMA could be a very important zone. If we see that the price is coming down, which is highly likely to happen, breaking this low and then giving us a price action confirmation according to the rules of our strategies, we will be buying US30. Now going back to NASDAQ, we can see that from the weekly on NASDAQ, this is the weekly pin bar and a strong rejection from the top. But if we look at overall market structure on NASDAQ, we can see that this is also a bullish price action. Now this is you can see this is a bullish channel. The price was moving along this channel, and the price has broken out of this channel with this bullish engulfer, followed by this is weekly pin bar. I think that on the market opening we might see a little drop testing this resistance as support, and then we can expect NASDAQ to remain bullish. Now from the daily on NASDAQ, we can see that from the daily perspective, the price already breaking the swing low. I think that we could see a retest of the daily 20 EMA, and you can see if you look at the past, NASDAQ was respecting daily 20 EMA very nicely. This is a dynamic support, and highly likely we could see the history is repeating. So you could see a retest of daily 20 EMA, and if we see the price is rejecting and after confirmation from daily 20 EMA on the lower time frame, we will remain bullish on NASDAQ. Now these are the instruments we will be looking in the beginning of trading week, along with many other instruments that we look at every day based on the current time price action. I strongly believe that, guys, this weekly forex forecast was helpful to you. Give a big thumbs up, and if you want to trade with us and be part of trading community, you can join us. There is a link in the description area. You can visit the website to be part of this trading community. And thank you very much. I'll see you again tomorrow in live session, as well as in all the analysis and updates that I am posting in the channel. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.